Hey, we're going to try to attack some of these word problems. So if you'll work with me on this, that says find two, I'm just going to work off these examples, two consecutive even integers. Well, consecutive means in a row. Even, of course, means 2, 4, 6, 8, that kind of thing. And two consecutive even integers. Therefore, if I said that the first integer was a 2, then you would naturally say the next one's a 4. And if I said the first one was 14, you would naturally say the next one was 16. If I said the first one was x, then you would say, well, what? Well, each time, what were you doing to get the next one? You were going to the next even consecutive integer, so you were saying x plus 2. So I bring that up to say that this is how we're going to represent the first number and the second number in our equation. And they say whose product? Well, product means to multiply. And so x times x plus 2, the product is supposed to be 56 more than 56 plus 3 times the first. Oof, got really complicated there. There's an x. So there's my equation. Now to solve that, you may have to pause and rethink that, go back a little bit. But to solve this, I'm going to go back to this process we learned some time ago, which was when you have a very complicated expression like this, the first thing you need to do is set it to 0. So after I move things around and get it set to 0, then I'm going to run it through my, I call it this factor machine because I want all S's here. But I run this, whatever this is, I run it through my factor machine, and that allows me to split and solve the equation. Once I run it to the factoring machine, it's going to be something like this, and then I can split each one of these little factors into their separate little equations, and I can solve them to find out what each 3 different possibilities there are, but that's for that particular equation. But let me go back to this one. Well, setting this to 0 requires me first to go ahead and use distributive property on this side, so I get x squared plus 2x equals 56 plus 3x. Now I can set it to 0 because I've broken up those parentheses. So I'm going to subtract 56 from both sides, and I'm going to subtract 3x. I'll do 2 steps at once. 3x goes with that like term. So I've got x squared, and I got minus that 1x, and minus 56, and that equals 0. Oops, 50. Now, use the space over here. So, I'm going to run this through my factoring machine. And in this particular instance, I'm going to use this diamond method where I take the A, B, and C values. You've been taught that, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on it, but A times C goes up there and the B goes down here. I find out that it factors to 7 times 8 with the 8 being negative to make this work. And in some classes you go straight to the answer from there, but I'm just going to show how I've been teaching it. X squared plus that 7x minus that 8x. So I used what I came up with in this x thing to find out how to break up the b values, and then minus the 56. So that's my original equation, but broken up in terms of the b values so that I can do this grouping method. So some people would say it is a little too far, but it's just consistent with the way I taught it. So I get x and x plus 7, factoring that out, and I'm going to factor out a common factor here of negative 8, and then I'm left with x plus 7 when I factor it out. So this gets to be regrouped as x minus 8 times x plus 7 equals 0. Now I can split and solve, and you can see that one of my equations is going to come out to x equals 8, and the other one is going to come out to x equals negative 7. And then, so I get those two answers. Well, the negative one doesn't make any sense. No, it could make sense. Oh, no, it doesn't, because we're looking for even integers, and so that one gets thrown out. So x is 8, and if x is 8, then the second consecutive even integer is 10. And that's how you solve one of these word problems. I want to look at one more real quick. I want to find one that talks about a rectangular plot of land. Okay, so I found one that is talking about a rectangle. I'm going to use this example down here. The length of a rectangle, you can say it, a rectangle is blah, blah, blah. So as soon as I see that word rectangle, I'm going to draw a rectangle. And it's talking about the length is 5 inches more than twice a number. I don't know what this number is. Well, in algebra, when we don't know what a number is, we usually call it x. So 5 inches more than twice a number for the length. 5 inches more than twice a number. Twice a number, 2 times x plus that 5. That's how I'm going to represent the length. The width is 4 inches less than the same number. So the width is 4 inches less than the same number, the same unknown number as before. Alright, and the area of the rectangle is 15. So now that I've set this up, I can make an equation. That is the width times the length is equal to the area. Right? And now we're on a path of solving it just like the other one, except for this time we've got 2 binomials equals 15, and I want to set it to 0, but when I try to do minus 15 from over here, I don't know where to subtract it from. I can't break into these parentheses. So first thing I have to do is multiply this with box or FOIL. So I'd come over here, do my box, x minus 4, I know this is messy, 2x plus 5, I work through it, I'd end up with 2x squared minus 8x plus 5x, that's negative 3x, and minus 20, and that equals 15. Now, when I try to subtract 15, I can, because there are no parentheses, and there's a like term that you can subtract it from. So it's 2x squared minus 3x minus 35, and that equals 0. Now I'm going to go into my factoring, and it's a quadratic, so I'm going to factor it. I'm going to use the X Games mode, I call it. 2 times negative 35 is negative 70, and then the b value is negative 3. I'm looking for two things that multiply to get negative 70. There's 7 and 10, but one of them has to be negative, and it's going to be the 10 because it has to add to negative 3. So this allows me to rewrite. Now some people do it a little bit differently, so forgive me if you do it differently, but this is breaking up the b's. 2x squared, I got that term, minus 3x, but now I'm going to rewrite that as plus 7x minus 10x, that's breaking up the b value, and then minus that 35 at the end, and that equals 0. So I group it at this point, and then I factor out each binomial, and I've got a common term of an x here. I divide that out, I get 2x plus 7, and then I get a common negative 5, and I'm left with 2x plus 7. You'll notice that, here comes a bell, disregard that. 2x plus 7 is a common binomial left, and then the x and the negative 5 combined for the other binomial. That was the GCF. Now I can split and solve these. So I go x minus 5 equals 0, and I solve it, I get x equals 5. That could be one of the numbers. The other one is 2x plus 7. I set it equal to 0, I subtract 7. I get 2x equals negative 7. I divide by 2, and I get this possible answer. The reason I say they're possible answers is because this particular word problem was talking about a rectangle and width and length, and the positive 5 is the only one that can work. The negative doesn't work because when you plug it in, it produces negative dimensions, and that's no good. So I put the 5 in here. If they're asking for the number, the answer is 5. If they're asking for the length and the width, I've got to plug it in. It's 2 times 5 plus 5, and that's 15. And then plugging in over here, I get 1. So the length and the width are 15 and 1. All right. Hope that helps.